Hey there, pirates! Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. I discovered the real reason why the sun god of Elbaf is considered a god of destruction, and I came to this conclusion by analyzing the official One Piece manga. So, stay tuned, because I'm going to show you this in today's video. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Guys, if the sun god's devil fruit chooses its user, then that means that at some point in history, it might have chosen the wrong person. And this possibility completely changes the way we view the legend of Nika. In Elbaf, we hear that the sun god is known as the one who will destroy the world. But this doesn't completely match the way the legend of Nika has been presented to us so far. Luffy is not someone who seeks destruction for the sake of destruction. He fights to free, to bring joy. So why does this prophecy from Elbaf sound so threatening? Maybe because it has happened before. If the sun god's fruit has a will of its own and chooses its user, it means that it may have chosen wrong in the past. Someone who received this power, and instead of bringing liberation, brought chaos. What if this was one of the events that led to the lost century? We know that in the past, there was a great battle, an event that changed the world completely. We know that Joy Boy was at the center of that event. But what if there was another figure, someone who also had access to the power of the sun god, but used it in a completely different way? If we think of the sun as a dual force, it can be both a symbol of joy and of destruction. The sun can warm and illuminate, but it can also burn and consume everything around it. What if the sun god's fruit in the wrong hands became the embodiment of this destructive side? In chapter 1044, when Luffy awakens Gear 5, we see a detail that could be crucial to this theory. He doesn't refer to the power itself as something absolute. He has fun, laughs, fights carefree, but he doesn't impose his will as something tyrannical. Now, imagine if someone with a completely different mindset had received the same ability. Someone who saw their power as an absolute right. Someone who believed themselves to be a true god. This would explain why the prophecy of Elbaf mentions the destruction of the world. Because at some point, the sun god was a threat. And what happens when such a power falls into the wrong hands? The answer might lie within the world government itself. If there was an evil sun god in the past, then the fear the government has of Nika's return isn't just about freedom. It could also be about the chaos that power could bring if it falls into the wrong hands again. And perhaps that's the real reason why Imu and the Five Elders decided to erase history. Maybe they witnessed what happens when someone is corrupted by the power of the sun god. This would also explain why the devil fruit was so carefully hidden. Why it remained unfound for so long. Because if it falls into the wrong hands again, the world may never recover. If the fruit has a will of its own, then it learned from the past. It waited for someone like Luffy. After all, Im-sama might have had a connection to this incredible fruit. If Imu-sama has been after this fruit for centuries, then he understands better than anyone the danger it represents. But more than that, he might have learned to manipulate those who possess it. And this leads us to a disturbing possibility. What if one of the ancient users of the sun god was deceived? If we go back to the scene of the giant straw hat in Maria Yoa, chapter 906, we notice something strange. Why is this object there? If it were just a trophy, why keep it frozen, preserved? This suggests that this hat belonged to someone of extreme importance in the past. What if this person was one of the bearers of the sun god's fruit? What if this person believed they were changing the world for the better, but were actually manipulated by Imu? The idea of a Nika who fell into the trap of the world government makes a lot of sense if we think about how Imu operates. He's not someone who acts openly. He hides in the shadows, manipulates information, rewrites history. If a former user of the sun god's fruit was someone with a strong sense of justice, someone who truly wanted to change the world, then Imu would have seen this as an opportunity. And how do you destroy a symbol? By making it destroy itself. If we think about what we know of the ancient battle of the lost century, there's a huge gap in information. We know Joy Boy failed, but what exactly happened? And what if his failure wasn't just losing the battle, but being convinced to fight for the wrong cause? Imagine a Nika who believed they were freeing the world, but in the end caused their own ruin because they trusted the wrong person. What if that was Imu's real trick? If the sun god fruit chooses its bearer, then it means that at some point it might have chosen someone with a good heart who was simply deceived. And the worst part? The story was erased. If this happened, no one knows the truth anymore. The only one who remembers is Imu. He might have even kept that giant straw hat as a reminder of his victory. If this is real, then the god of destruction mentioned in Elbaf might not have been a villain by nature, but rather a victim. Someone who tried to free the world but was used as a tool to destroy it. Moreover, if the sun god fruit truly has a consciousness and chooses its user, then it's inevitable that after Joy Boy, someone else inherited this power. But what guarantees that all the chosen ones followed the same path? We know that Joy Boy failed in his mission, but the fruit didn't disappear. It continued to exist, waiting for the next bearer. And during that time, the world underwent major transformations. The world government consolidated its rule, erased history, and the D were reduced to a forgotten legend. But if the fruit wasn't destroyed, it means that at some point it reappeared. And what if one of its bearers wasn't a liberator, but rather a cruel ruler? If we think about it, Imu's plan isn't just to erase history, but to shape it. He doesn't destroy symbols, he corrupts them. This becomes clear with the way he treats the world, eliminating threats and rewriting narratives. So what if at some point in the past, a user of the sun god appeared, and Imu knew exactly how to manipulate him? Imagine a strong young man, chosen by the fruit, who believed he was destined for something grand. If Imu already knew the nature of the sun god, then he might very well have turned this person into what the giants of Elbaf fear, the god of destruction. If a new user of the fruit appeared after Joy Boy, maybe he was welcomed by the world government itself. He might have been raised in an environment where he was told his destiny was to rule, that he was chosen to bring order to the world. But deep down, he was just being used as a weapon. And if the world government needed this Nika to complete the destruction of the ancient kingdom, that would explain why, in Elbaf, there is the belief that the sun god can destroy the world. Maybe they saw this happen before. A Nika, who wasn't a liberator, but rather an agent of chaos. This user might have been convinced that his mission was to maintain order, that true freedom was dangerous. He would have used his power to destroy the last remnants of Joy Boy's old allies, never realizing he was serving the very enemy he was supposed to defeat. And in the end, when he was no longer needed, Imu might have gotten rid of him, ensuring that history would never repeat itself. But the fruit always finds a new bearer. If that's the case, then Luffy isn't just the next in line for Joy Boy's succession. He may be the one who will finally break the cycle of manipulation that Imu has been perpetuating for centuries. Do you agree with me? Comment below. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.